It was a calm morning on Earth when the first message came. The sky above Earth was clear, and the day seemed no different from any other. But all across the globe, in every major city, people suddenly stopped what they were doing. News channels broadcasted the same message. The Galactic Empire had sent a declaration. It was no ordinary message. It came from their emperor himself, a powerful ruler who commanded countless worlds and forces in the galaxy. His message echoed in every home and on every screen. We, the Galactic Empire, have claimed your planet and all its resources. Your time as a free people is over. Bow before us or face the consequences. The message was brief but chilling. Earth had been unaware of any threats beyond their solar system. But now, the reality hit. The Empire's ships were already moving toward Earth, and the people of Earth had no idea what they were truly up against. The Emperor, a man whose power extended to the farthest corners of the galaxy, had been watching Earth for years. He knew of humanity's achievements, but in his eyes, they were just another primitive species, a species that could be easily controlled or destroyed. What he did not expect was how Earth would respond. As the news spread, panic started to grow. People were afraid. Could Earth, with all its technology and progress, stand up against an empire that controlled entire star systems? Some believed that resistance was hopeless. Others whispered about surrender. But one thing was certain: something had to be done. In a small laboratory in a quiet corner of the world, a man named Jacob Thorpe stood in front of his team. Jacob was not a soldier, nor was he a politician. He was a scientist, an engineer with an extraordinary mind. His inventions had already changed the way humanity viewed technology. And now he was faced with the greatest challenge of his life. Jacob looked at the young faces around him. His team of engineers, scientists, and tech experts were all waiting for him to speak. They were all worried, unsure of what would happen next. But Jacob had already made up his mind. "We can't back down," he said firmly, his voice steady but full of determination. "The Galactic Empire may have advanced technology, but they've underestimated us. They don't know what humans are capable of when we're united. We'll fight back, not with force, but with our minds." His words were met with silence, but it was not the silence of doubt. It was the silence of people who understood the weight of what was about to happen. Jacob continued, "We will create something they won't expect. We will develop new technology that can stand up to the Empire's ships and weapons, and we'll use it to defend our planet." His team nodded in agreement. They had worked together for years, pushing the boundaries of technology, but this was unlike anything they had ever faced. They were not just building machines, they were building the future of humanity. Meanwhile, across the globe, Earth's leaders were debating their next move. In boardrooms and government buildings, they argued. Should they negotiate with the Empire? Should they surrender to avoid bloodshed? The debate raged on, but in the end, humanity's leaders knew one thing: Earth could not simply give up. The idea of bending to the will of another empire was unthinkable. It was in this time of fear and uncertainty that something remarkable began to happen. Across the world, people began to work together in ways they had never done before. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, and even students all joined in a global effort to protect their home. The Empire had made one crucial mistake. It had underestimated the human spirit. Jacob's team worked day and night, creating technology that could stand against the might of the Empire. They built energy shields, developed weapons that could disrupt the Empire's advanced technology, and designed new spacecraft capable of challenging the invaders. But their most important creation was something simpler: hope. The world was changing. Governments, united in their determination, began to prepare for war. Training camps sprang up all over the planet, with people learning how to defend their homes. But it was not just the military that rose to the challenge. Everyday people were now part of the effort. Scientists were sharing their discoveries. Farmers were helping build supplies, and people from all walks of life were doing their part. The Empire, on the other hand, continued to move closer. Their fleet was immense, their technology advanced beyond anything Earth had ever seen. Yet, even with all their power, they could not prepare for what was coming. They thought Earth was a weak, divided planet, easy to conquer. They didn't realize that the strength of humanity was not in its weapons or technology. It was in the unbreakable will of its people. As the Empire's ships entered Earth's orbit, Jacob and his team were ready. They weren't just building weapons, they were building the future of humanity. And they were about to show the Empire that Earth's fight was far from over. The true battle was about to begin. As Earth watched in anxious silence, the Galactic Empire's fleet grew ever closer. Their massive warships, gleaming in the cold vacuum of space, seemed to mock humanity's smallness. Yet on Earth, there was no panic, only resolve. The first message had been a declaration of power, but the second would be a declaration of defiance. Jacob Thorpe, the brilliant inventor, knew this moment would define humanity's future. With the help of his team of scientists and engineers, he had created something the world had never seen before, advanced technology built not from the Empire's designs, but from human creativity. The ideas they had come up with were unconventional but genius. They weren't trying to match the Empire ship for ship. They had something more. They had innovation. In a hidden laboratory deep beneath the Earth's surface, Jacob stared at a series of holographic blueprints spread out before him. There were energy shields that could protect against even the most powerful blasts, weapons that could disrupt the Empire's advanced ships, and systems that could confuse their navigation. Each idea was a puzzle piece that, when put together, might just give Earth a fighting chance. But Jacob knew it wouldn't be easy. The Empire's fleet wasn't just big, it was enormous. Each ship was equipped with weapons that could destroy entire cities with a single shot. The idea that Earth could possibly stand up to such power seemed impossible to most. But not to Jacob. He was different. He had always believed in the power of human ingenuity. And now, more than ever, it was time to prove it. We can't go head-to-head with them in terms of sheer power, Jacob said, turning to his team. We have to outsmart them. We'll use their strengths against them, confuse their systems, and hit them where it hurts. The engineers around him nodded, energized by his words. They had spent sleepless nights working on these plans, and now they were seeing a glimpse of hope. Jacob had a unique ability to think outside the box. While most people were focused on building stronger weapons, he was focused on building something the Empire wouldn't expect. A chance for Earth to use its creativity and adaptability to win. Back on the surface, world leaders were busy preparing for the inevitable invasion. Emergency meetings were held, and soldiers were being mobilized. The fear was palpable, but there was something else too. A spark of unity. Nations that had long been divided put aside their differences in the face of the alien threat. This wasn't just a battle for one country or one city. It was a battle for the survival of the entire human race. While the leaders and military personnel scrambled to organize a defense, a young woman named Sarah Mitchell was busy in her lab, working on something that could turn the tide. Sarah wasn't a general or a diplomat. She was a hacker, an expert in cybernetics. She had spent years studying the Empire's technology, not with the intention of fighting them, but out of curiosity. Now that knowledge would be the key to humanity's survival. Sarah had uncovered something strange in the Empire's communications. There was a flaw in their navigation system, a small vulnerability that Earth could exploit. If they could get close enough to one of the Empire's ships, they could send a signal that would scramble its systems, making it crash into another ship or into space debris. It was risky, but it was a chance, and she was willing to take it. Jacob, I think we've got something, Sarah said, her voice crackling through the communicator. If we can get a team to one of their ships, I can disrupt their systems. It won't be enough to destroy them, but it will slow them down. Jacob's eyes lit up. If we can disrupt one ship, we can do it again and again. The Empire won't be able to keep up with us. They quickly put a plan into motion. It was a dangerous move, one that could very well lead to their destruction. But the alternative was surrender, and that was never an option. Earth's people would fight. While Sarah worked on the digital front, Jacob and his team focused on their weaponry. Their creation, a device they called the Pulse Disruptor, was ready. It was a portable weapon that could send out a pulse strong enough to disable the Empire's energy shields, if only for a few moments. That was all they needed. A few moments of vulnerability were enough to break through and give humanity a fighting chance. The day arrived when Earth's forces were ready to make their move. A fleet of smaller, faster ships, designed by Jacob's team, launched from Earth's surface, equipped with pulse disruptors and new forms of energy shields that could protect them from the Empire's attacks. As they soared into space, Earth held its breath. The battle for survival was about to begin. The Empire, unaware of the threat that lay in wait, continued to approach Earth's atmosphere. But just as the massive fleet was about to enter Earth's orbit, something unexpected happened. One of the Empire's ships, the flagship of their fleet, suddenly veered off course, crashing into another ship in a fiery explosion. On Earth, Sarah's plan had worked. The signal she sent had caused the Empire's navigation systems to go haywire. The Empire's fleet was now in chaos, and Earth's ships took advantage of the opening. The battle for Earth had begun, and humanity had just delivered its first blow. Jacob watched from his control room, a smile tugging at his lips. It was just the beginning, but it was enough to show the Empire that Earth was not the weak, unprepared planet they thought it was. It was a planet of fighters, a planet that would not bow down, a planet that would never surrender. The Empire's fleet, which had once seemed so unstoppable, was now thrown into confusion. Ships collided, and their once pristine formations shattered. Earth's small but determined fleet took advantage of the chaos, weaving through the scattered enemy vessels with incredible speed and precision. The Empire was not prepared for this kind of response, especially not from a planet they had considered weak and insignificant. Jacob Thorpe stood in the command center, watching the unfolding battle on the large screens. His heart raced with excitement, but there was no time for celebration. The Empire's fleet was vast, and they would quickly adapt. This small victory could be the spark of something much bigger, but Jacob knew the real challenge was yet to come. "Keep the pressure on them," he said to his team, his voice steady and firm. "We need to push them off course and make sure they don't regroup. This is our chance." On the front lines, Sarah Mitchell was working fast. She had spent years studying the Empire's technology, and now she was using that knowledge to her advantage. From the safety of the Earth's command center, she sent signals to disrupt the Empire's navigation systems again. The result was immediate. The enemy ships started veering off in different directions, unable to coordinate properly. "This is working," Sarah said, a hint of relief in her voice. "Their systems can't handle the overload." But she wasn't naive. The Empire's technology was advanced, and they would find a way to counter her attacks. She knew she couldn't keep them in the dark forever. Every second counted. Back in space, Earth's small fleet danced between the hulking ships of the Empire, launching carefully timed strikes. Their pulse disruptors fired at enemy energy shields, briefly weakening them. Every successful strike was a victory, but the Empire's ships were quickly adapting, closing their gaps, and reinforcing their defenses. Time was running out. "We need to move to Phase 2, Jacob ordered. "Prepare the long-range interceptors. We need to disable their communications." While Jacob's team worked on their next move, the situation on Earth remained tense. The world had united in the face of the Empire's threat, and now all eyes were on the sky. People from every corner of the Earth watched as their fleet fought the invaders with courage and determination. The streets were filled with anxious citizens, each one wondering what would happen next. Would Earth be able to hold its ground, or would they be crushed by the weight of the Empire's power? In one of the command centers, President Alina Wright addressed the people. "We've shown them that we will not back down. We've taken the fight to them, and we've already proven that humanity is not to be underestimated. But this is just the beginning. We must remain united and strong." Her words were broadcast worldwide, bringing hope to millions. They had faced their greatest fear and found strength they didn't know they had. But even as she spoke, there was a growing awareness that this battle was far from over. The Empire had only begun to react, and their anger would not be easy to overcome. Back in space, Earth's fleet pushed further into enemy territory. The interceptors Jacob's team had developed were small, sleek ships, designed to be fast and maneuverable. They swooped in close to the larger Empire ships, using their advanced communication jamming technology to disrupt the enemy's ability to call for reinforcements. It was working. One by one, the Empire's ships lost contact with their command center, leaving them isolated and vulnerable. But this wasn't enough. The Empire still had a powerful advantage in numbers, and their larger ships were starting to form up again, moving toward Earth with deadly intent. Jacob knew it was time to unleash their trump card. "Activate the Skyflare," he ordered. The Skyflare was Earth's most powerful weapon. It wasn't a weapon of destruction. It was a weapon of hope. The Skyflare was designed to send out an energy pulse so strong that it would temporarily disable the Empire's most advanced ships, giving Earth's fleet an opportunity to strike back with everything they had. On the surface of Earth, a hidden facility beneath the mountains powered up, the Skyflare coming to life. Its energy reached far into the sky, charging the atmosphere with a brilliant glow. Within moments, the first wave of the energy pulse shot up into space, striking the Empire's flagship. The results were immediate and dramatic. The Empire's flagship shuddered, its powerful systems suddenly offline. Ships around it followed, their systems glitching and flickering. Earth's fleet had an opening. Without hesitation, they launched their next attack, aiming for the now vulnerable ships. It was a risky move, but it paid off. Earth's fleet moved in with precision, targeting the weak spots in the Empire's defenses. One by one, the enemy ships were disabled, their shields failing to protect them from the combined force of Earth's forces. On Earth, the atmosphere was electric. People watched in awe as their fleet fought back with determination. Every strike was a sign of their resolve, their belief that they could protect their home and their freedom. It wasn't just about the technology. It was about the human spirit, the courage to stand up against something much larger and more powerful. But the battle was far from won. The Empire's forces, though temporarily crippled, were regrouping, and Jacob knew they had to keep pressing forward. "We've made a dent, but we need to finish this," he said, his voice unwavering. "Let's take back our planet." As Earth's forces prepared for the next phase of the battle, one thing was clear: humanity had found its strength. The Galactic Empire may have thought Earth was just another small planet in the galaxy, but they had underestimated the most powerful force of all: human resilience. As Earth's fleet continued to strike at the heart of the Empire, the battle was far from over. Despite their earlier successes, the invaders were not ready to give up so easily. In space, the skies were filled with flashes of light as the warships of the Empire tried to regain control. Their weapons fired relentlessly, while Earth's fleet maneuvered, striking and retreating with precision. The Empire's strength was immense, but it was clear now that Earth wasn't backing down. Jacob Thorpe watched the ongoing battle from the command center, his eyes scanning the data as each report came in. The Empire had lost several ships, but it wasn't enough to break their resolve. They were adapting, learning from their mistakes. They wouldn't be so easily defeated, and Jacob knew it. The battle had entered a new phase. Earth's forces had made a mark, but the Empire was not ready to retreat. "Keep up the pressure," Jacob ordered his team. "We've proven we can damage them, but we need to do more. We need to find a way to break their command structure." The thought of striking at the heart of the Empire's leadership was daunting. The flagship, though weakened, still commanded a large portion of the fleet. If Earth could take it out, it might throw the Empire into disarray. But Jacob knew it wouldn't be easy. The Empire was ruthless, and they would fight to protect their leaders at all costs. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the public was gripped by the events unfolding in space. Every day, the news was filled with reports of the battle, of ships being destroyed, and new victories won. People watched from their homes, on their phones, and in the streets. It was a moment that united humanity in a way never seen before. Across the world, nations continued to support the fight, and citizens volunteered to aid in any way they could. President Elena Wright stood before the world once more, speaking to humanity in their darkest hour. We are not alone in this fight. We have shown the galaxy that Earth will not bow to invaders. We will protect our home and our future, no matter the cost. Her words resonated with people everywhere, giving them strength when it seemed as though the battle might turn against them. For the first time in history, Earth had taken a stand on the galactic stage, and the entire world was united in the fight to defend their home. While Earth's fleet remained in the midst of the battle, Sarah Mitchell was deep in the heart of the Earth Command Center, working with her team to find the next step. Sarah had always been more than just a hacker. She was a problem solver. With the Empire's fleet scattering and regrouping, she had to find a way to keep them disorganized, to prevent them from regrouping and launching a counterattack. "I've been studying their communications," Sarah said, her voice calm but urgent. "There's a secondary signal we can tap into. If we can intercept it and send out a false command, we can confuse their fleets even further." It was a risky plan. The Empire would be expecting all communications to be blocked or jammed, so this would have to be done with perfect timing. One mistake could cost them everything. But Sarah was confident. She knew that if they succeeded, they would deal a significant blow to the Empire's efforts to coordinate. Jacob listened closely, nodding in approval. "Let's do it. We have to keep them off balance." The plan was set into motion. Sarah and her team worked feverishly to tap into the Empire's communication channels. As soon as they located the signal, they sent out a wave of fake orders, directing the Empire's ships to move toward a false target. The Empire's fleet, already struggling to regain control, was thrown into confusion once again. On the battlefield, Earth's ships took full advantage of the disruption. With their enemies scattered and disoriented, they launched a series of successful attacks on the weaker points of the Empire's fleet. One by one, the massive warships were disabled, and the balance of power slowly shifted. The Empire's commanders, desperate to regain control, attempted to regroup, but the damage had already been done. Earth's forces were everywhere, exploiting every weakness, striking every opening. The tides of battle were turning in Earth's favor, and for the first time since the Empire's arrival, the outcome of the war was uncertain. Jacob, watching the unfolding scene, allowed himself a brief moment of relief. "We're doing it," he whispered to himself. But even as he spoke, he knew there was no time to waste. The Empire would regroup, and they would come back stronger. This was just the beginning of a much longer war. But Earth had taken a crucial first step. Back on Earth, people felt the change. The air was filled with hope as they heard the news of victories in space. Every city, every town, had their own way of celebrating the success. People stood together in the streets, raising their voices in celebration. Earth was fighting, and humanity was proving that they could stand strong against the galaxy's mightiest power. But the Empire was not finished yet. Their leaders were furious, their pride wounded. Earth had dealt them a blow, but they would not forget it. The next phase of the war was sure to be even harder than the last. But one thing was clear: the battle for Earth was far from over, and humanity had found a strength it never knew it had. The sudden shift in the battle was nothing short of breathtaking. For the first time since the Empire's invasion, Earth was on the offensive. But as every victory was earned, the weight of what they had started weighed heavily on Jacob Thorpe and his team. The Empire would not just sit back and let this happen. They were regrouping, adapting, and preparing to strike back with a vengeance. Jacob stood at the command center, his gaze fixed on the massive screen in front of him. Earth's fleet had done well to disrupt the Empire's communication systems and take down several key ships. But he knew the Empire was far from defeated. Their next move would be decisive. "We've made a dent, but it won't be long before they retaliate," Jacob said to his team. "The Empire doesn't take kindly to losing control." Sarah Mitchell, who had been working tirelessly alongside the rest of the team, nodded in agreement. "They'll probably try to neutralize our communications, or worse, focus all their firepower on our command ship. We need to be ready for whatever they throw at us." The tension in the air was palpable. Earth's fleet had dealt a significant blow to the Empire's command, but Jacob couldn't shake the feeling that the true fight was just beginning. Far away, the Empire was preparing for its counterattack. The Empire's leaders had underestimated humanity's resilience, but they were far from foolish. Their command fleet had already begun to regroup, and their new strategy would take Earth's forces by surprise. The Empire's fleet assembled in deep space, hidden behind the cover of an asteroid field. They knew Earth's fleet was not large enough to maintain an extended fight, and their own reinforcements were on the way. The Empire's new weapon was already in motion, a massive warship that could emit powerful gravitational waves, capable of disabling or even destroying smaller ships. "It's time," the Empire's commander, General Korath, muttered to himself. "We've underestimated them long enough. Let's show them the true power of the Empire." Back on Earth, the mood was cautiously optimistic. The victory they had earned was a huge moral boost, but everyone knew the Empire wouldn't back down so easily. Jacob's strategy was working, but they needed to strike quickly before the Empire regained full control. "Phase 2 is complete," Sarah said, her voice calm but filled with determination. "We've broken their command structure, but now they're preparing to launch a counteroffensive." Jacob took a deep breath, his fingers tapping lightly on the desk. "Then we'll be ready." The first sign of the Empire's retaliation came suddenly. Earth's fleet, still reeling from their earlier successes, suddenly found itself under attack by an enormous wave of enemy ships emerging from behind the asteroid field. The Empire's counteroffensive had begun. Earth's ships scrambled to adjust, moving quickly to protect their most vital vessels. But the Empire's new warship was like nothing they had ever faced. With a single pulse, it sent shockwaves through space, disabling several Earth ships. The shockwaves caused havoc in Earth's fleet, pushing them out of formation and giving the Empire an opening to attack. "We can't afford to lose this," Jacob said urgently. "Focus all fire on that new ship. We need to neutralize it before it can cause more damage." But the Empire's ship was tough, and it wasn't going down without a fight. Earth's ships continued to bombard it with everything they had, but the warship's advanced shields absorbed the impact, rendering their attacks ineffective. "They've got some kind of shield we haven't seen before," Sarah reported, her voice tense. "Our standard weapons won't do much against it." Jacob's heart raced. They couldn't afford to waste any more time. Earth's fleet was powerful, but the Empire was playing with technology far beyond anything humanity had ever seen. The stakes were higher than ever. "We need to buy time," Jacob said. "Sarah, is there any way to disable their shield systems remotely?" Sarah thought for a moment. "I'll try to hack into their systems and bypass their shield protocols. But it'll take a few minutes." Jacob looked out at the stars through the window of the command center. The galaxy, once so vast and mysterious, now felt much smaller. Earth's small fleet was at the center of a fight that would decide the future of their planet. "We don't have a few minutes," he muttered. "We need to move quickly." On the front lines, the Earth fleet was doing everything that it could to hold back the tide of the Empire's counterattack. The massive warship was pushing forward, its shockwaves growing stronger with each pulse. But Earth's ships continued to fight back, refusing to back down. The odds were stacked against them, but the will to protect their planet burned brightly in every pilot, every commander, and every person who had supported this fight. As the Empire's warship drew closer, Jacob made a decision. Deploy the experimental shock interceptors. They're our last chance. These new interceptors were designed to withstand the gravitational shockwaves that had been disabling Earth's ships. With a bold move, Earth's fleet launched them directly into the path of the Empire's warship. As they approached, their shields flared to life, absorbing the shockwaves and giving Earth's fleet the chance to close the distance. Sarah's voice came through the comms. "I've hacked their systems. I'm shutting down their shield generators now." The Empire's warship flickered for a moment, its once impenetrable shields now vulnerable. Earth's fleet wasted no time, firing all weapons in a concentrated barrage. The warship shook as the weapons hit their target, its hull beginning to fracture. For a moment, everything seemed to stand still. Then, with an enormous explosion, the Empire's warship was destroyed. The shockwaves sent ripples through space, but Earth's fleet had won this battle. Jacob breathed a sigh of relief. But as he looked at the remnants of the shattered warship, he knew that this victory was only one piece of the larger puzzle. The war was far from over. The Empire would return with even greater force. But Earth had shown them that they could fight back. And as long as humanity stood united, there was no force in the galaxy strong enough to defeat them. Earth had won a battle, but everyone knew the war was far from over. The Empire, though temporarily shaken, was regrouping and planning their next move. Jacob Thorpe, standing in the command center, felt the weight of what was to come. They had broken through the Empire's powerful warship, but the enemy wasn't just a few ships. They were a vast, coordinated force, and the next strike would be more dangerous. "Status report," Jacob ordered, his voice steady, but filled with a sense of urgency. Sarah Mitchell, still at her post, didn't look up immediately. She was working quickly, analyzing the data coming in from Earth's remaining fleet. "We've disabled their command ship, but it looks like they've already sent reinforcements. The fleet is being restructured, faster than we anticipated." Jacob clenched his fists. "How many ships?" "Thousands," Sarah replied, finally glancing up. "They've called in every available unit from across their empire. They're preparing for a full-scale invasion." The news hit hard. Earth's forces, though resilient, were still small compared to the Empire's enormous military might. Every victory had come with a heavy cost, and now the Empire's wrath was about to descend on them in full force. "What's the plan?" Jacob asked, his voice sharp. "We need to take out their communication systems first. If we can disable their command structure again, we might buy enough time to regroup," Sarah suggested. "But it won't be easy. Their fleets are too close, and they got new technology. We'll be fighting against advanced weapons." Jacob thought for a moment, weighing his options. Every decision he made could mean the difference between survival and destruction. He glanced at his team, their faces reflecting a mixture of determination and worry. "We do it," Jacob said, making up his mind. "We'll hit them hard and fast. Focus on the command ships. We won't get another chance like this." As the plan was set into motion, Earth's fleet prepared for the next phase of the battle. Every ship had a role to play. Every pilot and commander was crucial. Jacob knew that this was their moment to strike before the Empire had time to organize their full invasion. "Are you ready?" Sarah asked, walking over to Jacob. She could sense his resolve, but she could also see the stress in his eyes. The pressure was immense, and they both knew the risks. But they couldn't afford to hesitate. "I don't think we have a choice," Jacob replied with a small smile. "We've come too far to turn back now." The fleet launched into the dark expanse of space, engines roaring as they set course for the heart of the Empire's command. As they approached, the enemy ships loomed like shadows, their massive forms waiting in the distance. Earth's fleet was outnumbered, but they had something the Empire didn't: unity and ingenuity. The Empire relied on sheer strength and overwhelming force. But Earth, despite its smaller numbers, had proven they could outsmart their opponents. The first wave of battle was brutal. Energy beams, laser fire, and missiles flew through the air. The Empire's ships were powerful, and their new weapons were more advanced than anything Earth had ever encountered. But Earth's fleet fought back with everything they had. Jacob's ship moved swiftly, dodging enemy fire and returning with deadly precision. "Stay focused," Jacob's voice crackled through the comms. "We're not just fighting to win, we're fighting to survive." Sarah was coordinating with the fleet, directing ships to target key weaknesses in the Empire's formation. Every maneuver was calculated, every shot planned. But despite their best efforts, the enemy's strength was overwhelming. Earth's ships were taking damage, and the Empire's reinforcements were steadily pushing forward. "We're being surrounded," one of the commanders shouted over the comms. "We can't break through." Jacob's heart raced. If they didn't make a move soon, they would be trapped, with no way out. He scanned the battlefield, his mind working at lightning speed. "We need to disrupt their coordination," Jacob said. "Take out their comms again, before they can regroup." Sarah's fingers flew over her console. "I'm on it, but it'll take time. I'll need to hack their systems again." The minutes felt like hours as Sarah worked furiously. Meanwhile, Jacob's crew continued to fight, their ships skillfully maneuvering around the enemy's massive warships. They knew they had to buy Sarah enough time to complete her task. "Keep them off us," Jacob ordered. "We don't have much longer." Finally, Sarah's voice came through, crackling with excitement. "I've breached their systems. Their communications are down again. We've bought ourselves a few minutes." Jacob's heart lifted. They had done it. Now, with the Empire's fleet temporarily disorganized, Earth's ships could strike the command ships once again. But the battle was far from over. "Let's finish this," Jacob said, his voice resolute. The fleet dove back into the fray, a wave of humanity's final push against the Empire's might. They were no longer just fighting for survival, they were fighting for their future. The final moments of the battle were intense, as Earth's ships closed in on the Empire's command center. The enemy was regrouping, but Earth's forces were relentless. They knew that if they didn't act now, the Empire would crush them. With a final coordinated strike, Earth's fleet hit the heart of the Empire's command ships, taking down their remaining fleet and sending shockwaves through their forces. The Empire had been dealt a major blow. As Jacob watched the destruction unfold, he knew that this victory had not only saved Earth, but had also sent a powerful message to the Empire. Humanity would not be broken. But even as the battle ended, Jacob knew that the war was far from over. The Empire would strike back again. Earth had shown its strength, but the true test of their survival was just beginning.